Hello, and welcome to an exciting announcement about a new Imagex app for Contentful. The Imagex app is going to allow you to connect to your storage that's hooked up with Imagex and then easily bring in Imagex's powerful API to power all of your images and improve the performance of your Contentful sites. So today, for my talk, I have Sherwin, the lead SDK engineer at Imagex and the creator of the Imagex app for Contentful. Thanks so much for joining me, Sherwin.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
Yeah, no problem. So I know you're always thinking about different kinds of things to work on, right? Like customers are requesting things, we're identifying what we need to work on. One of them that came up was obviously Contentful, right? So my major question, I think that everyone's wondering is, why did we choose Contentful?
Yeah, it's a good question. It is challenging to know, out of all the different, platforms and systems that we can integrate with, which one is, the right one, or which one's going to bring the most value to our users. Contentful, I think, ended up being, kind of a no-brainer. A lot of our customers have been on Contentful. We see either more of them moving towards it, or new customers are already on it. And Contentful's, pretty huge in the Jamstack space, being a really powerful headless CMS, driven by its really, its API and its very user-friendly dashboard. It just makes a lot of sense why it's so Jamstack friendly. And I think Imagex is very Jamstack friendly as well. So, all in all, those reasons together, the popularity, how much it's growing, how well those elements mesh together, it just completely made sense that we should support something for it.
Yeah, I mean, we have a survey here from the Jamstack community about what CMSs are most satisfied with, which ones they use the most, and WordPress is always king, right? But Contentful is actually coming up second here for usage, and it's really, really high on the satisfaction level. And one thing to note, this idea that customers have already been using Contentful even before this app came out, and it's just the basic idea that you can take the images coming from Contentful and just switch them to an Imagex URL, and even though Contentful does come with some basic image resizing and optimization, if you want to kind of squeeze out any more performance on your e-commerce site or your blog or wherever, you can do that by adding a service like Imagex to that setup. And you already had a lot of people doing that, so it just really made sense to switch this thought of doing an app as well. And one of the major benefits the app brings is, instead of having all your images stored on Contentful, you can leave them stored wherever they are, because Imagex connects to whatever storage you have, right? So you no longer are getting charged through Contentful for those images, and you can bring them in through Imagex, so from S3 or GCS or wherever it is.
Yeah, I think that's the real power there. There are some users who, maybe they're happy storing their assets on Contentful CDN. They want to use their image service, and that's totally fine. They should. I think for some other users out there, so maybe some larger organizations, they've always had their assets on cloud storage outside of Contentful, and it's a pretty significant undertaking to have to think about moving those assets over, or how are you going to integrate it into your content workflow. So I think this, exactly like you said, this Imagex app is going to be a perfect fit for any organizations out there who find themselves in that situation where they have all the assets on cloud storage or an external storage. They want to bring it into Contentful. They want to use Imagex for the powerful rendering API. Like, I think this fits all those needs there, like right out of the box.
Yeah. So I mean, I think without further ado, we should really just show them what it is, right? So I mean,
yeah, totally.
Do you want to drive us here to show us how to do a tutorial with that app?
Yeah, totally. Be happy to. Let's try it again.
So
here I am on the Contentful dashboard under my account. So I'm just under the apps tab right here. So if you were to go here, you'd be able to see all the third-party plugins and integrations that are available to you on the Contentful marketplace. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the Imagex one right here. All you need to do at this point is to click on this, click the installation button, just authorize access, and you'll be brought to the configuration page. So what this page is mainly concerned with is getting you set up with the proper credentials to make this application work. And we just need one thing from users before we can install. So what the page kind of has some text to walk you through exactly what you need. And what it's really just asking for is an API key. So if we were to, if we wanted an API key from our, assuming you have an Imagex account already, you can sign into your Imagex account and generate an API key there. I'll just go ahead and show that I generally have it open. So if I were to go to if I was to log in, this is the dashboard. If I click in the upper right-hand corner, this drop down, go down to API keys, be brought to this page, and here you can generate a new key. What I would just basically need to provide at this point is a title for the key. So I would just say something like Contentful. And then I would need to provide it with, at bare minimum, 2 permissions. So we need sources permissions in order to see the sources that are associated with your account, and image manager browse in order to retrieve the assets from those sources so we can display it in Contentful. So if I were to click this, the API key that gets generated is what I would drop into that configuration page. I already have one generated beforehand, so I'm going to drop that in here right now. Once you've entered it, you'll see that there's a verify button that we can click. Basically, what the button does is, like it kind of describes, verifies that the API key that you provided is a valid one. And if it is, it'll give you, this confirmation notification that, hey, it did work, and there's a little green check mark here. If you were to enter in some a bad API key or some junk information and click verify, you would get this notification that it didn't work, and there would be no green check mark. So at this point that you have to go back and fix something here before you move on. But yeah, so if we basically have that, we verify and it works. Give it 1 second. That's good. And at this point, you can go ahead and install. There's just something that I want to call attention to on the bottom half of the screen here, which is the assign to fields section. Basically, what we do at this stage is scan all your content types and look for all fields per content type that is compatible with this application. So the Imagex app is designed to work with JSON object fields. And so here we're displaying any JSON object fields per content. So for example, I have an article content type, and there's a banner image field on there that is a JSON object. So I can go ahead and I can install it at this stage rather than have to go to the content model tab and do it manually. So at this stage, I'm ready. I can click install. That'll take a second. Just to sort of confirm that it did get installed to the field on this content type, I'm going to go ahead to the content model page, and I'm going to click on article, which is the one that we just kind of installed it to. Here's the banner image field. We noticed that it's a JSON object, like I said before. We'll click into the settings and then go to the appearance tab. And because I didn't refresh, I'll do that again. So I'm going to click into the article content type, and here we have the banner image, which we'll notice is a JSON object field. I'll go ahead and click into settings and then the appearance tab, and we see that the Imagex app is already added there. You could also, if you didn't click on the checkbox in the previous screen that I showed you, you could also go in here manually and add it that way. So at this point, we're ready to actually see this app in action. So I'm going to go to an instance of the article content type, which is right here. I have one already set up called Hello World. So I'm going to click into that. And we see under the banner image field, there's a button that prompts us to add an origin image. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And it's going to open up a dialog that prompts you to select a source so you can view your image gallery. So here's the drop down, and here's where that source API permission comes in. It lets us pull in the sources that you have that are enabled. So I'm going to go ahead and select one, and a couple of things are going to happen right now. Main thing, we're going to notice that it's going to pull in a bunch of assets. So that's where that image manager browse permission comes in. We're going to be able to display, page by page, all of your assets. So there's some pagination buttons down here. You can either paginate one button at a time, show, the next page of images, or we can use this drop down so you can skip ahead or back instead of having to click one by one. And then we have the search bar, which, if you happen to be an organization with hundreds, if not thousands of images, maybe you don't want to have to click page by page to find that specific image of a dog. And instead, now you can just search for a dog. So I'll go ahead and put dog as a search term and click on search, or I could also hit enter. And it's going to filter out any images that match with dog. So what we're matching on is the file name of the image. So if the dog happens to be, dog.jpg, then we would pull dog. If you happen to have any categories or labels that happen to say dog, from your image manager in Imagex, that's also a field that we can search against. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and
So
click
that's
on,
that's an important idea, because I mean, I feel like the file of the name is me one thing, but
yeah,
in the image management tool, you typically associate images like with an article or other tag names. So if you're writing a certain article, you just type that and you can find all the images associated with the article and they'll appear here, right? So
yeah,
it makes it easy to filter through and find everything.
yeah. And some of those are, user generated tags, and maybe this is worth showing in Image Manager. But some of those tags, your organization or content curators, whoever, are adding it themselves, and some of them are AI tagged, depending on exactly what you have set up on your image
You want to show
manager.
this? I mean, because it's your source right there, right? 2 tabs over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we go to your Imagix account here's where you would see those sources that you connected again, right? Like both of these sources they were hooked up to Google Cloud Storage.
Yeah.
And you can see they're all here, but like if we can probably see that dog one, it's right here as dog coffee or whatever.
Yeah. So dog happens to be in the file name, but it also happens to be an image tag as well. I could also have, if I didn't have these tags, I could also go through here and create a category that said, like dog, for example.
So if we go back and like search for table, even because you can see tables part of this, it'd probably bring up this image and a bunch of other ones, right? Or
yeah, I think so.
Or coffee would probably be good, or yeah, I don't know.
Oh, coffee's a very good one.
Coffee's in the name of it though, so I guess can we do it from the Contentful side, like look up the word table, or like in the Contentful app? Let's see it in action here.
Yeah, sure. You said table?
Sure, yeah, because that's not in the name, right? So
yeah.
So this one's dog dash coffee, but it's coming up because the AI vision detected that there's a table in this picture. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially, at this point, you choose the image you want associated with the article, right? And that's funneling through an Imagex URL, but that's not the end of the story, right? Like it is drastically helping with the content management side, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's like a fair thing to mention. Okay, this image is now being served, on your app, but you should in the front end code do some stuff to resize it and optimize it, all that kind of stuff, right? Like don't serve it by itself and not do anything.
Yeah, exactly. So at this point, you can select the image, you can add it, it gets added to the field, and then I can publish it. And at that point, as far as the content author is concerned, like that work is done. But for a little further down the line, like you mentioned, the front end engineer, whoever is maintaining your website, is going to get the URL of this Imagex image. But now they have the power of the rendering API that we have all those parameters. And if they were to just throw that URL into one of our framework SDKs or even core libraries, then they could start manipulating it. They could start drastically compressing it or optimizing it for whatever design that they're building.
Yeah, and from the content creator's perspective, doesn't matter. They've got it handled. They'll optimize it, make it fast. This allows you to easily find your images in potentially a humongous S3 or Google Cloud bucket, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's great. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
I'm really proud.
Yeah, I know, right? So I think the next thing we've talked about is like why Contentful, right? But I think maybe a fair question for people out there is the why Imagex, right? Mm-hmm. So I briefly mentioned the idea that we do optimize images to make your site a lot faster, right? Like Like, and that's a big reason of yes, why Imagix, right? But there's so many other great aspects too. You have the management side we already showed, right? You have
Yeah.
connect to an S3 bucket, Google Cloud bucket, whatever, wherever it is, and tag it, make it searchable, be able to put items in there and quickly find your images, optimize them, but then also send them out on a global CDN, right? We're using Fastly to deliver to the edge. And, we have a lot of different points along the way, a shield built in, everything. So it's fast, responsive, and images are cached really well. And we're doing, a lot of smart stuff, optimizing images to change their formats depending on what browser you're in, doing everything we can to give you the best possible score for your website. So that website is fast and works well. If you aren't actually familiar with Imagix, then I would say get started. It's free. Free, not just trial, free forever. You can go to imagix.com. There's a free forever account. You can get it set up to your S3 bucket, to whatever, go, right? Like, watch other great videos like this at youtube.com. We have some really good documentation. And follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/Imagix. So, I think I'm really excited to see some people get out there and start using Imagix with the Contentful app. I mean, I know we've already had many customers go out there and use the app that have already been longtime customers, but now I want to, really see people get out there and start using it that have never even experienced Imagix, right? I think that's going to be just such a good experience out there.
Likewise, I totally share your feeling.
So thanks so much for joining me, Sherwin. I mean, this is awesome, and I look forward to the next great integration you make, right?
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. And yeah, we're very excited. Thanks for having me, Tom.
All right. See you, Sherwin.